Recorded. So we're gonna move on to our presentation. Just a reminder to keep yourself on mute when not sharing so that we can limit background noise. And it's being recorded so we can share with you afterwards the recording. Today, we are privileged to have Yana Johnson as our guest speaker. She is the CEO and founder of Your Aesthetic Style, YAS. YAS is a personal styling business that empowers millennial women, especially moms, to create a home and outfits that they love based on what personally inspires them. As a mom of three, she knows how busy life can get. All her digital products, programs, and services offer simple and practical ways to enjoy the beauty in your life. We will share her website in the following newsletter as well, in the follow-up newsletter, www.youraestheticstyle.com. And today, Yana Johnson will be speaking on the topic Reimagine Your Home Part 2. She was with us in January, and now we get to welcome her back today in March. Welcome up, Yana.
Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, everyone. It's really nice to be here. I appreciate being invited. Shauna's the one who invited me initially and a good friend. And yeah, a little bit, just brief recap of what we kind of talked about in part one, because we're carrying on from that. And you can watch the replay or find it. I know it's on YouTube if you want to watch that later after. But I gave a little bit of, and I'll share a few parts that I talked about in part one a little in this time too. But the biggest thing is that both identifying what we want in our home is important. And we're going to start off with a fun exercise and activity just to kind of get clearer about what we want. That's what we focused on a lot in part one as well, was talking about what we want. And so we're going to start with that. But then another step of that, and the kind of theme with the self-care in this part, is like how to also ask for help with what we want. And that's a big, I think almost equally as important, getting clear on what we want, but then taking action on it. And with that, I'm going to share my screen because we're going to go right into an activity. And if you, some of you, as was mentioned earlier, like choosing if you want to be with somebody in a breakout room, or if you're already together with someone, like, which I love, I see several people on the same screen together, then you'll be put just in your own room, so you'll get to talk. So part of this activity, I'm going to guide you through it, and then we're just going to go straight into discussion and talking time. And then we'll do the same thing with the other activities. So it'll be more like presentation, talk together, presentation, talk. And then at the end, we'll open up for more Q&A time, and I'll kind of ask more and hear from you in the audience. So just to get you a sense of what we're going to do. But as I mentioned, and as Shauna talked about, my business, Your Aesthetic Style, is all about really celebrating and honoring what we find uniquely beautiful to us. And that's aesthetic is the word in there, as you see. So I talk a lot about that. But I actually developed this happy home chart when pretty early on in starting my business, because as I was talking with people about their homes, I noticed different needs and priorities that were coming up. And I came up with this concept around the idea of intellect, emotion, and will, that we need all of those things, but some of us tend to lead with some more. And especially when you're talking about making changes in your home, it's really helpful to know how these ones impact you. So off the bat, all of us need these things, but we're going to do a little activity to go in depth on what are the ones that you kind of need more, and also thinking about people in your home that might need that. So aesthetic, as you can see, is about the look, and it's very much connected with your emotions. The order is about creating a system, how things are organized. That's connected with your thoughts. And function is about the lifestyle, how you're living in your home space, which is connected with our actions. And the idea that I put your in front of all of them, right? the key thing, and this is what I'm always talking about, is making it personal and reflect you. Because yes, there's great systems out there. There's lots of ideas of beautiful decor, but the most important is it beautiful to you? Is it speaking to your emotions? Does the system make sense with your thoughts? And in part one, I think in our Q&A, I gave an example of, I loved these I had a whole bunch of things on Pinterest about beautiful desk ideas for craft desk, but actually the way that I think is very messy. And so I need to have everything, like I can take it out, make a big mess and kind of put it back. And so having that, like those Pinterest boards, just recognizing that I needed to organize my desk much more around how I thought than just the look of it. So all of these things we need, as I've mentioned, but it's just being more aware on how you what do you need in particular and going deeper in that. So this is kind of what I mentioned also already, that what I'm excited about here and what we're going to do is get to see what are the different ones that stand out to each of us, and talking with somebody that maybe you share a home with, or talking to each other about your homes. You can have a fun discussion to see what do you lean toward and what comes up for you. So I'm very excited that we can connect this concept directly with talking with each other and asking for help and support. All right, now with that, I would like to give you just a moment we're going to do a little quiz, home quiz. All you're going to need is something to write down. So it can be a piece of paper and a pen. It can be in your phone if you prefer. But we're going to go through 3 different questions. I'll read each question twice and the statements for the question. And you're just going to write down the number that you identify with most. And so for each question, you're just going to write down one number. You might, sometimes it's hard to pick just one, but try to pick just one. And we'll go through that. So that's how we're going to find out, just in a brief way, which one you might tend to lean towards in aesthetic, order, and function. So just give you a few more seconds if you need to grab a pen. Is everybody good to go? Have something to write? Thumbs up. All right, okay. So we'll go through. I'm going to read the questions. First one. What's the first thing you notice about a room? 1, where things are placed. 2, not sure, I'm more focused on what I'm doing. 3, how it makes me feel. I'll read that one more time. Pick the number that most reflects you. What is the first thing you notice about a room? 1, where things are placed. 2, not sure, I'm focused on what I'm doing. 3, how it makes me feel. Okay. Now we're going to move to the next question. So all you need is just one number for this question. And we're going to do the same thing in this next question. When organizing a closet, what do you prefer? 1, labels and clear places for items. 2, everything is easy to reach. 3, pretty baskets that hide mess. So one more time. When organizing a closet, what do you prefer? 1, labels and clear places for items. 2, everything is easy to reach. 3, pretty baskets that hide mess. Okay, so get your number there. And then final question. When a room is messy, what frustrates you most? Is it 1, things are not put back in their place? 2, not able to use the items when you need them? Or 3, how messy it looks? So when a room is messy, what do you get frustrated about most? 1, things not being put back in their place. 2, you're not able to use items when you need them, or 3, how messy it looks. Okay, so everyone should have now at this point 3 numbers from the different questions, 1 number each for the question, on your paper, your phone, wherever you're writing down. And now we're going to look at the different, like which ones, right? The answers, quiz results. So if you have a range of numbers, we can talk about those things later. But for now, for those that have mostly ones, if you tended to write down ones, you'll probably lean towards order and having a clear system based around how you think. So it's not just about putting things in order here, but it's also about like it makes sense. Like this cabinet here, putting some of those more messy liquids at the top that are higher out of reach for little ones, for example, like that's what you're thinking about. So it's organized really in a logical way. That's the key thing. This is a picture from the Home Edit, if anyone's heard of that company. I think that's a great example of people who love order. It's very clear systems, labels, and you make it look nice. But the key thing is that it makes sense. It's a system. They always say that it's a system. So someone who loves that, those are little ways that you probably lean towards order as being, you've got to have order first. That's a big priority in your house. Of course, you like the other things as well, but order is where you tend to lead with. If you got mostly 2s, it's leaning toward function, and that's where you have things that are easy to see and reach when you need them. And so this example here in this kitchen, you can see everything is organized in a way that most of the stuff is not like, you don't have to reach behind it. It's very, okay, the tea's there, I got it, right? The toast, anything that a little bit on the bottom is maybe a little bit more like you've got to reach over it, but you want it to be easily accessible to do what you're supposed to do, which is cook, right? You want to be able to find those items and cook with them. And that's what makes you happy, that it's easy to use and move around with. And if it looks nice and organized, makes sense, great, right? But that's the primary reason. And this final one, this one makes me laugh and giggle because this is totally me as an aesthetic, is if you got mostly 3s, you lean toward aesthetic, you probably have in your kitchen or home something that's purely for pretty display. It's just decoration. You don't use those items at all. So this image here, right? Like if you look at it from a practical, functional place or order, it's not the most functional. You've got to like take things out and move them. There's pumpkins, there's flowers in the sink, right? But the idea is that it's for the aesthetics. And so I definitely remember doing this even from a young age where I would just, I'd make things beautiful and I wanted them to stay that way, right? And it was that enjoyment and switch it. And yes, I have parts of the kitchen that I use and have more function. Those are in the cabinets that I'm able to use, but having these little pretty displays really brings a lot of joy for me and emotion. So I hope you liked those little examples, and now you're going to get a chance to talk about it. So we're going to go right into our breakout rooms, and that you can someone talk about what came up for you with the quiz. Which one did you get? Which one did you lean toward? Aesthetic, order, function. Was this surprising for you? Was this not surprising? Take about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes each to share, and then we'll come back as a group. All right. Welcome back. I hope you had a nice chat or time. That's good. I was curious, just by a show of hands, I'm going to open it up later for more question and answers at the end, but just sort of show of hands, who tended to lean towards order in the group here? Were there some that were prioritizing order in their home more? Not so many there, see? Oh, who's that? Chloe? Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Order. What about function? Anyone that was function more? Function. Okay, see if you function. Awesome. And then aesthetic. We have some aesthetics.
Mm.
Okay, nice.
I'm in trouble because I had 1, 2, 3.
You had 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll talk about that. I was wondering if there's some that had 1, 2, 3. So I'll make sure at the end that we go into what if you had different ones, because it's just a simple mini quiz, so it's not so easy to tell. And I'll also talk a little bit more at the end about dynamics. We were talking about that in our breakout group, dynamics that can come up when you have different ones. If you live with somebody that's very different from you, and how to talk about that. So we'll go a little more in depth with that at the end. We're gonna go into our next part of this section. I'll share a little bit, and then we're gonna do another practical exercise, more connected with asking for help. But the reason we did that little exercise to start with was just to have a starting point around what do we want in our home. And if it was hard to find which one of those, you could pick one of those, or in general, you can just think about what's something that you find hard to ask help for. And some of you can be thinking about that. I'm going to share an example from my story, but also feel free to put in the chat if there's things you feel it's hard to ask help for. And for me, as someone who's an aesthetic, I actually found that very hard to ask help for personally, because I felt like of those ones, aesthetic, order, and function, it might seem a bit more frivolous, like, well, I understand you need to be able to reach things and you need a system, but isn't the nice beauty, isn't that just an extra thing? And so, especially when I became a mom and my children were really young, and just there's so much to do in the house and it's hard to keep up, I felt like it was asking too much to also want to have a pretty home too. And that's really like the origin story of my business, and how it all started was I was in this cycle of just feeling bad for being unhappy about my home, but also feeling like, I should just, prioritize other things, not care so much about the aesthetics. Yes, Diane, what it's like with children, yes. And yeah, I'm glad a lot of you can relate, because this really is so like how all this started for me. And so I remember being in that phase, and I found this book at the library that was Marie Kondo's book, but it was bright pink because the Norwegian version was super pink, which stood out to me because I love pink. And it was just, I was about to leave the library and it was right there. And I started reading Marie Kondo's book, and many people might be familiar with her method about finding things that spark joy. And that was part of my journey later. But the part of her book that really changed things for me was this exercise about what do you want, and just going deeper and deeper. And so it was like, what do you want? Why? And then keep going. And so my husband and I, we both did that one evening. And from doing that, I got really clear that what I really wanted from my home, because before it just felt like I wasn't happy. I wanted it to be more pretty, but I didn't want to ask for that. And I got this one phrase that I wanted a place that felt inspiring to create, like that inspired me to create. And that's also an important part as an aesthetic. Like, I like making beautiful things too. And just, I was feeling, maybe I could pinpoint finally the thing that frustrated me the most was like, I want to be able to create more art. And it's so messy right now, and I don't want to take out more and make more mess, like painting and things, but I do want to be a family and enjoy that with my sons. So somehow that was like a big shift for me of like, okay, that's specific. That's what I want. And it's okay to ask for that. Like, actually, that would be really fun for our family, right? Like, it's not frivolous or all those things that I kept telling myself. And so the next step I did after that was ask for help. And my mother-in-law, she's here, Roswitha Johansson, I reached out to her asking, like, can you take the boys sometimes on the weekend to be at your house, and I can just clean and do Marie Kondo at my home. And before, like, it felt so silly, like, to ask for something like that to me at first. But then I realized, no, like, I was motivated because I knew I was excited about what I could create in the home. And that's the origin story of later creating that space. And I got more creative, that I came up with my whole business and helping others do that. And it just moves me so much still. Like I've told that story so many times, but like it's just so powerful about giving ourselves permission to do those things we want, but also asking for help. It's really like you never know where it can lead. And our homes are really important, the space we're in, because we're here so much, right? It's like one of the few environments that we kind of have an impact over compared to most other environments. So that's why I love supporting in this area. But what we're going to do now is give a chance for you to practically practice asking for help using a tool called Safe Conversations, a method there. And one of the reasons why I think I'm really excited we can do this together, and it might feel a little bit like unnatural to follow this process, but it's important to experience both the asking part and the listening part. So you're going to get a chance to be the person asking for help, but also the person on the receiving end listening. And I'm going to invite up Myrna Lepre. We're going to do a little example of this, but she can share a little bit more about the actual method we're going to use, and then we'll role play for you guys.
Sure. Thank you, Yana. Yeah, so I'm a Safe Conversations facilitator, and we're just going to do a little mini practice today. But you know, in Safe Conversations, I teach people that we need to learn how to be better listeners, because we're used to listening in order to respond, to tell our own opinion about something or put our ideas in. But in this case, we're listening in order to understand and to be a support for the other person. And when we do that, we get to a point of empathy, when we can understand what the other person really wants. And so it may feel awkward. We're going to ask you to mirror back what the person said in order to really check, did I get it? Did I understand what they said? And it doesn't have to be word for word. And we're not used to doing that. So learning a new skill, it might feel a little awkward. And if you want, if you're like me and you're not a great rememberer about things, you can say, is it okay if I take a couple notes to remember what you said? But just do your best. And you know, it'll be a different kind of experience than what we usually do in a conversation.
Yes. So we're gonna show you first, and then we're gonna follow something. I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you can see we're following a dialogue framework.
I put it in the chat too.
You put it in the chat, awesome. Yeah, because this is what you'll need in the breakout rooms in the chat. I can put it up on the screen while Myrna and I show you, and just be thinking about what you want to ask for help with. So it can be connected to aesthetic, order, function, something in your home. It can be something else as well. It's up to you. We just did that activity so you have something if you want to use that, but maybe there's something else you want to practice asking for help for. This is anything is okay here. So here we go. This is what we're going to be doing. And I'm gonna, so you have this framework. Myrna and I will just do one example of me being the person asking, and she's going to be listening. When you do your breakout rooms, you're going to get to do both. So one person will ask, then one person listen, and then you'll switch. The other person will ask, the other listen. Okay. And oh yeah, one more note. It's really important to, before asking someone, really finding a time that is good for both of you to talk. So like not in the middle of maybe something, but finding, hey, do you have a time to talk? Or is now a good time? Or is there a time we could talk? And then you apply this method of talking. All right. Hi, Myrna. I'm making some changes in my home, and I was wondering if I could ask you for some help.
Sure. Let me just make sure I understand. You are thinking of making some changes in your home and you would like my help. Did I get it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so what I was thinking, I feel kind of silly, but I know what I want to do. I just it's been hard to just make the time to do it. So I kind of thought it would be really nice to have someone who could help remind me or check in. Like even just Saturday, 1 hour on Saturday, I want to dedicate toward my home project. But Saturday comes around and I kind of forget or don't do it. And I just thought maybe someone could help remind me or ask me how it's going.
Okay, so you know what you want, and you want to dedicate 1 hour on Saturday to doing it, but it's hard to when Saturday comes around, make sure that you make the time to do it. So basically, you're asking me to help you be accountable. Did I get that?
Yeah, yes, accountable. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, like maybe even setting a timer, or you could give me a text on Saturday afternoon to check in if I did my project. Would
Sure.
that work?
Sure. So I could set a timer to check in to see if you did it. Do you also want to text in the morning before to say, look forward to hearing it, so it's on both ends?
Yeah, that sounds like what I'd really need. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thanks so much for letting me talk and also being able to help me with this. I'm excited, and maybe I might need more help with something, but I feel like this is a good starting point for me. I'm already like more excited about what I can do my Saturday hour.
Great. I'm glad to help contribute to your excitement.
Thank you. Okay, so I hope that could help you guys get a sense of how you can use this framework. We're gonna break out now into the same breakout rooms. So you'll be with the same person or in your own room if you're already together in person, and use the framework that's in the chat and take turns so that you both get to experience asking and listening. And then we'll come back all together, and then we'll have our all together question and answer time and go deeper on some things. All right. Have a good breakout.
So I forget if you said this, but you'll have 12 minutes. So it's 6
Yeah.
minutes each, basically. Okay.
Yeah, so give
It looks like.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hi, welcome back. Thank you. How was that for everyone? I mean, now we can more open it up in general. How was the reflective listening? I'm just gonna go or anything exercise from today, but I know sometimes have you done this before, the safe conversations method? No, yeah. Yeah. The reason we did that, especially I think, just the end, like asking for help as self-care, sometimes it feels hard just asking, right, in general for help and things, but being able to see the ways of asking, but also on the receiving end of the listening, because I think even when we don't ask, like we feel in our head, we make it bigger than it is, but when you actually start to like explain it, you're like, oh, this is okay, this is not too big of an ask. So that was well, I'm glad we could do this exercise together. But I would love to, I'm going to stop talking. I want to hear from you, your thoughts or reflection or questions. This is more like open time discussion. How was the, safe conversations one experience?
Yeah, it was really good, actually. Donna and I are both in Alaska, so we share similarities, and we just basically made a plan to support each other, actually text or talk to each other. And at first, when you said that, I thought, I don't need help, and then I thought, well, help isn't just somebody coming in and dusting or telling me to pick up my whatever. Help could be you know, I'm overwhelmed because I am trying to make changes to my life and to my house. And sometimes I'm overwhelmed, and then you get muddled, and then you're like, ugh, your energy dissipates. So anyway, speaking like that to Donna was really good and very helpful.
Yay, that's awesome. And I'm glad you set up something to help each other. That's great.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, and I would like to go next. I had such an awesome time with Blandon, and we are really investing in one of the project at home right now. I was able to share it with her, and we were able to share some great creative ideas. So thank you, Blandon, and thank you for this breakout session.
I love that.
Yeah.
Creativity. That's awesome. Yeah. Anyone else? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, uh, this was very special for me because I did this with my 9-year-old and 7-year-old daughters. So it was definitely a little strange, and but I want to like practice this more. Of course, safe conversations and talking about like them as girls and like what they like, what they don't like, what they want their rooms to look like. Um, and I want to support them. But yeah, I definitely learned that I noticed you and Myrna, like the thing you asked for, it was something, how do I say this? It wasn't anything you wanted Myrna per se to do
Right.
for you. You know what I mean? Like you are owning your issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was still a little bit too much in my mom head, and I was like, girls, I just want you to pick up your trash. And they're like, no, it's not really that important. And I was like, because I think I'm coming at this still a little bit in the wrong way. Like there's still a little bit of blaming or anger. I was like, can you girl? So anyway, yeah. So I guess my question is like any suggestions, and also like with children,
Yeah.
how to, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up. And we were also, Monica Kellett and I were together in a breakout room, and we were kind of talking about that too, like asking for help. We were talking about husband and wife when you have different aesthetic order function, and asking for a need of one more than the other. So that's part of it. One thing, Shauna, and I know that, you know, doing the exercise, but it could be something else. I think what we were talking about is instead of starting right on a topic that's been a topic of tension before, like a certain room getting messy, picking up clothes, or we were talking about the living room, stuff like that, go to something that's new. So even doing that exercise, I know they were part of it today, or it could be looking at a magazine or something that's more objective, and just sort of talking about it using this method, right? Like you said, getting used to talking with them. That's going to make it easier later to bring up some of these like topics. So the idea is you can use that method to bring up more things. Maybe Myrna could share more about how to do that when you want to make a request of someone. But even this concept of the aesthetic order function, and I can share an example with my husband and I, it helps to just think that we're all coming from different places of how we see things, right? And that's what you could think of for little children a lot of times, right? They're still learning a lot, but trying to see that you come from different places in how you're approaching it from mom mind, and seeing all these big things, and then they're in their own world, right? And so just having a little framework to like see, okay, where might they be coming from can help. And that's what's helpful with that little chart, if that helps there. Or it could be using as a starting point with children, it's using what they are most interested in, like Pokemon or whatever with my sons, right? And trying to relate it to that, or Minecraft it is. And they love to build houses in Minecraft. And I was like, let's make our house tidy at home. Like Minecraft, your Minecraft house is so tidy. Yeah, like try to connect it that way. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to open up if others have input here, because that's what's so nice. We're all like, we all have wisdom here or input there.
I was so grateful to hear Shauna and Yana talk about relating to their children, because I relate to my grandchildren, and I live in one room in my family's house, and it's like a very small room actually. When you stuff everything in your life in one room and try to use it for writing your memoir and going through all your stuff. But my grandsons come in, and I visit my granddaughters in Anchorage. I have 4 younger grandchildren, and just hearing you talk about the things I deal with, they want to sneak into my room or come in when they have finished all their assignments and watch Pokemon or watch their sitcoms for preteens or whatever. And it's a great opportunity, but it's also an opportunity for me to express, hey, you know, this morning I challenged myself. My grandson comes in and he doesn't cooperate so much. He just sits in here and does his thing, watching people fish on my Alexa. But I asked him, could you get those things in the corner for Granny? And then when your dad finishes breakfast, can you bring me a plate? And he did it. And up to now, I haven't been wanting to ask. So, but you're teaching me open up the communication in new ways. And that's helpful to me.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, that's a great example too. Yeah. Yeah, I like how you said that. Open up communication in new ways, different ways. It's really what it is. And being curious, like, huh, that's so interesting. They think that way, or that's different than I would have thought. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe I can tell a story.
Yeah.
I made a new friend today, but the conversation didn't work like you explained it, because you know me. I want help. Okay, I ask somebody, can you be here and we do it together? Then we get it done. But this, and in that way, like Donna just said about grandchildren, I also think about how we can communicate with them, because today's children, they are sitting always on their computers, on their telephone. I mean, they are not sitting on them, but they are always playing. And I had to watch 2 of my grandchildren today. And usually you don't get them away from their iPads. And 13-year-old, he said, oh, Papa said I can stay home. I said, I didn't tell to Papa that you can stay home. So you get on your clothes and we go out. And we went to a, what do you call that? To a nice place where we could have different gym things outside in the open air. And we did all the different things, and I tried to make conversation with them, because not always they want to answer me. But today it was getting so nice. And afterwards I said on the way home, today when we come back, you are not going to sit and play again, but I want you to see a movie which is called Freedom Writers. And it's about a school in America. And I was watching that movie 2 days ago, and it was just incredible how this teacher really sacrificed her life for the children. And that's what we also have to do. And Nina, she is just 12 years, but she said, are they really living like this? she couldn't imagine that.
Mhm.
But because afterwards I said, you have to tell me what you learned from the movie. And that was very, very nice, because both of them, yeah, they found out some points.
Yeah.
So
it's
this
very-
movie is just to watch.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, but thank you. Thanks for sharing. I think from what I heard from you share, I thought there was some great points in there about some just changing up the environment sometimes, like, you know, getting out of the house, you got together somewhere else, right? And that even gave you the idea. And then we do that a lot with screen time where we set on certain movies, like we make it, especially one of my sons really loves quality time. So he really looks forward to movie night with all the things, like all the goodies, and everybody's got to be there. But then it's nice to have like, okay, we're going to talk about it, or saying that beforehand, like you did. Let's watch it and then share some points after so they can kind of think about points. One thing we've tried to do in our house, not necessarily successful, is clean before screen, where they have to clean, at least make their bed, like certain things they clean, but try to set the expectation. And then if they're asking for screen time, I do a mommy's more strict than papa, clean. I go check their room, how clean it is, you know, and that kind of thing. But those little, I think it's like finding ways, right, to meet each other's expectations together, and being able to talk about it. I think that's the biggest thing, as many have said, like keep an open conversation, and the power of good listening skills, which is why I also love the safe conversation method. It's so powerful of just mirroring back, even really young children. It works to like try to mirror back, oh, you're upset because of this, and they can calm down. So just that would be my tip, like learning how to mirror back the times when they do talk to you, right? Because sometimes they don't respond. That can be very powerful. And also the question, is there anything else? Sometimes a lot comes out after that. Yeah. So I'm glad these could be like practical tools here to help. Anyone else want to share something? Yeah.
Yeah, I like to share. I found that it's so hard for me personally to ask for help. It's kind of my character. I like to do everything myself.
Yeah.
But I also realized before I ask for help, I need to share a good time. Either if I'm asking help from my children or even from my neighbor. By the way, welcome Sonia. I'm very happy Sonia joined us. She's my neighbor. So before I ask a help, I need to share a good time together. A good, like you said, conversation, a good, not only conversation, a good memory, and build something together. Then with this kind of friendship, even with my children or my neighbor, with this kind of friendship, I can ask for help when I need it. So that's all what I like to say. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's so great. Yeah, that's such a good point. Focus on the nice enjoyment together first and asking for help. And then it's good you acknowledge also, I think for some of us, it is harder to ask for help, and just like the self-awareness is also great. Acknowledging. Thank you. Anyone else want to share? I'm also thinking of Blandine, your question, if anyone got 1, 2, 3 in the previous one. Were there some of you that had multiple answers, or like pick multiple? Okay. I just want to briefly go over what that is. I mean, this is just a starter point, but what you can do is think more. Oh, I think I lost my PowerPoint. Hang on. What you can do, if you got multiple answers, it's more just spend time observing yourself at home in general and kind of look at those different things. And I always say, it's not about putting yourself in a box, like I'm only this or only that. It's more like observing certain situations. And if you got I wanted to look at specifically which those questions were because it is often very situational, and I tried to give situational examples with those questions, but sometimes we go through different phases or seasons in our life and in our home, and so that is what we're leading with. Like when you move, for example, or you're going through about a bunch of boxes and things like that, order is a big thing that you have to prioritize it. Like some things in our life, it makes us that we have to prioritize that. So that's another maybe reason you might have gotten multiple things, or in general, some people are more like just overall harmonious, right? Like you tend to just even intellect, motion, and will, you kind of just have more of those like harmoniously together. So that could be that as well. But if I were to look at those specific questions, I also think that it might depend on the scenario, like maybe your kitchen or your closet. It depends that's why I sort of gave that example of myself with my desk, that I love aesthetics. I would love a pretty organized looking desk, but my reality is the way that I think is very messy and my desk gets messy. So I just need more of like drawers where I can stuff things in, so it's bother me so much, but I need to be able to take it out quickly. And so even that is like, it's just getting deeper in my own observation of myself and admitting, as much as I love the idea of a beautifully displayed desk, because it's a thing I use all the time, right? I had to prioritize the order and function more for that and have a display somewhere else. So I hope that can help, or if you have more questions there, we can go into that. But let me know. Also time-wise, I don't know how much time we have. Are we good on time? Is it like 10 more minutes?
Yane, my question, because I am a family coach and I can see that even for my children, my son's house is always messy, and my role for a while was to go in and just kind of sit there and help them understand what steps they could take and say it in a way that they might receive it or not say anything and come back later. But my point is, how do I refer to you and what should they expect? And how do you work with people? How do you charge? All those things.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
your business.
My business. Okay, business services. Yeah, so before I used to go into people's homes as an interior redesign service. I don't do that anymore. I'm focused mainly on a course that's called, well, it's called Ya Stylist. It's a program where I teach people how to do this, but the program is very much designed for people who lean toward prioritizing aesthetics. And it's helping define your aesthetic style, which is the name of my business. But in particularly, all of us, whether aesthetic, order, function, we all have a certain like things that are beautiful to us, right? What is specifically beautiful to you? And that's what my program helps people identify, like what's beautiful to you. And then we practice it by applying it to your outfits and your home. But I say that like the people who enjoy that program the most are those that lean toward wanting to have beautiful things in their home, wanting to know how to put it in a way that will make them happy and leaning. There have been people that have done it that it's helped them declutter and things as well, because they focus on, okay, I really like this, I don't need those other things, but it's kind of a like case by case. So that would be my recommendation, is that you can refer them to me. I could talk to them and see if it's a good fit, or I can recommend other things, because I do know a lot, can recommend other resources or things, or if they really do need an in-person support, because that's for a lot of people, in person, it helps them, and doing it yourself is, a bigger step. I also offer like consultation for a higher price if someone wants like one-on-one support. So my core program, Ya Stylist, is $450. That's the price, and it's a lifetime program. And there's an option to pay that much, like the full amount, or break it up into over 7 months for $67. And when you have that program, you get the access to my course and step by step, but there's also a community of other people that have taken the course and doing the program, and they connect with that. And then my one-on-one consulting is a lot. It's $1,250 for somebody who they would get that program, which they have lifetime access, and they would get like a half-day virtual consultation with me. But the consultation is based specifically on finding out what your aesthetic style is and then how to apply it right away in your home and outfit. So someone who would do that consultation, they would do the quiz and the things in my program first, certain steps, and then we would go in depth with, it's basically for someone who wants to know how to use it right away and really quickly. But what I teach, this method is very cool. It's very, like, we focus on not buying anything and looking at what you have, because that's really key. Like, why did you buy those things? And then getting very good. I'm teaching people this skill, because this is the same thing I used to do when I went into people's homes. I would find out what's their aesthetic style by looking at their Pinterest board and things like that. And then we would rearrange their homes, not buying anything new, but just using what's there. But it's like a key starting point, because it's not about, there's tons of beautiful homes, right? There's tons of beautiful decor, but it's what's beautiful to you specifically. And so, but that, yeah, that's what I would say is the starting point, is like people who are really driven by creating more beautiful aesthetics will get the most out of it. And if it's more order and function, maybe, but I would recommend probably other programs or services that.
Thank you.
more-
That helped me very much, and maybe all of us. One other question is, are you, like, if this is a family management issue and the couple and the children are involved, are you okay with having like a family meeting for that consultation?
Yeah, totally. I love that. And I love encouraging couples. That's one of my big things. I encourage couples to find out what their aesthetic styles are, both of them, because it's very family. Even when I would do home, most interior designers, they say interior design is like 90% family counseling and 10% design. Because a lot of it is this, and that's why I created this chart, this aesthetic, like finding ways to really get to what are the core things that are your concerns around your home, and working through that. So yeah, that's definitely something that I love to do and happy to do.
So do we email you or go through your website?
Oh.
Yeah, you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat. But yeah, on my website as well. I think my email is there. But yeah, email me is good.
Thank you.
And also Facebook. I'm on.
Yes, Yana,
most
maybe
social
write
media.
down your email address. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my business email address. So that
Okay, well,
go, Shauna.
we have so much to cover. It's almost 2:30 Eastern time, so we got to end. But okay, so you wrote down your email address. Oh yes, okay. Miss Myrna, would you like to share the flyer? And our next month we have April 20th will be our next month's presentation by Rebecca Boswell. It's going to be, the topic is Growth Mindset 2.0. And here's the flyer. And I guess, should we have 1 more minute, one more question, or do we end?
Yeah, let's just end. So she gave us a
Okay.
presentation last year also. And so in the follow-up email, you'll get all the contact information for Yana and the recording of the session, as well as Rebecca Boswell's presentation last time.
Okay. Well, thank you very, very much, Yana, for coming, for giving us the part 2. Thank you to everyone that attended, and may we keep learning about ourselves and beautifying our homes and ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you, Yana.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Everyone.
April